this a closed case, or does it remain an active investigation?
It remains an open investigation here with the police department, yes.
Do you still stay in touch with Caleb's family, his father?
I do. As a matter of fact, I just spoke to him Thursday, I believe it was. Wednesday or Thursday.
Since his remains were discovered, has any new evidence come in, any new tips come in?
We've had several tips. We've recovered what potentially could be evidence. We're having it tested. So at this point, we can't say it's actual evidence or not.
Are there still detectives assigned to his case?
Yes, we have two of our missing person detectives are assigned to this currently. At one time, we had upwards of 12 detectives from different parts of the department working on this case, but as the leads have dried up, there's no need to have that many detectives working it, but we have two very good detectives working on the case.
The last time we sat down to talk about this case was back in the summer. We talked about digital information that was coming in, that was being reviewed. Has anything come out of that to help you all determine maybe his last moments?
No, it hasn't, unfortunately. We were very optimistic that all that digital data would paint a picture of what happened to him that evening. Unfortunately, it really didn't clear anything up, other than to dispel one of the theories that we had was that he had gotten a ride with somebody and left the area. After we thoroughly went through all the cell phone data and the geofencing, it was very apparent that he did not leave that general area that evening, or at least his phone didn't.
I know one of the theories was that this was just a tragic accident, that he may have fallen into a manhole. Is that something y'all have been able to rule out or confirm?
No, we haven't been able to confirm one way or the other conclusively whether there was foul play or whether it was an accident. The evidence that we have doesn't clearly point in one direction or another. There is evidence on, I guess, on both sides to support the potential of foul play, but it's just as the evidence is just as strong to suggest it was a terrible accident.
What would you like the community to know as we do hit this 1 year mark?
Well, certainly, the first question is it an open case? It is an open case. We haven't closed it. We closed the missing person case, obviously, because he was found. We are still following up on tips as they come in, or evaluating tips. There's some tips that come in that really aren't tips. They're just kind of suggestions, or I heard from a friend of a friend of a friend that said, those kinds of tips aren't really very reliable.
And those are still coming in even to this day?
Yes. Well, I don't know about today, but yes, we've had still followed up on a few tips since August.
His autopsy was it unconclusive or undetermined? Any new evidence to suggest how he might have died?
Nothing since we got the final autopsy report from the ME.
I know you had kind of some slides that you were going to show. I guess, what were some of those images and what did you want to share?
Well, one of the things, I guess some of the misconceptions that are going on about this case, there was no confirmed sighting of Caleb that evening outside of that apartment complex. There was no digital data putting him anywhere outside that general area. Initially, within the couple of days after he went missing, we were able to acquire some cell phone data, but it was very raw data, and it just kind of showed us potentially where his cell phone might have been. And we followed up and we went to those areas right away and we searched. But later on, as the investigation progressed, we realized that information was not accurate. He was not seen on at Simmons Bank on Rod Field. He was not seen anywhere else. There was a couple other places. Rod Field and Williams at that drainage ditch. Like I said, as the investigation went on, we ruled that out. That was not accurate data. And as we got better information through subpoenas, search warrants, and whatnot, we determined that his phone never left that general area of the apartment complex.
Is his phone still missing?
His phone is still missing. That was one thing we didn't ever recover. I just want to emphasize the amount of work that went into this investigation. We're not walking away saying, hey, we don't want to investigate this because it's a potential homicide, so we're just going to call it an accident. That's not the case at all. We just, at this point, don't have evidence to point one way or the other. And it's still an open investigation. So if we get a tip that's a solid tip that gives us evidence of foul play, we will follow that tip as far as it takes us. And vice versa. If there was any tip that would show that it was a tragic accident, we'd follow that up too. But we just don't have enough evidence to point one way or the other.
Is it rare to have a case like that, where it's kind of in the middle, where you don't have evidence one way or the other?
I can't recall a case like this recently, or in my career even, off the top of my head. Yeah, it was very unusual. This case was very unusual from the very beginning. It was very unique. Right away, we recognized that Caleb did not meet the general profile of the people that go missing. Generally, it's people who have drug habits, who already have problems with their families, who have already, run off, run away, disappeared. Sometimes it's people that are wanted by the police, so they disappear, obviously, for a good reason. So Caleb didn't match any of those indicators for that type of profile. And in just the general circumstances of what happened, we recognized right away there's probably more to it. And we threw a tremendous amount of resources out there to find him. We had a substantial amount of our police department looking for him, on top of the Coast Guard, on top of Texas Parks and Wildlife, on top of volunteers that searched the area. We brought in dogs, we brought in cadaver dogs, we brought in search dogs, search teams from the prison system. So we threw a lot of resources out there to find him. And like I said, we did take it very seriously. We continue to take it seriously. We would love to be able to resolve this case one way or the other, because we understand people out there are very curious and they want answers. But so do we. And it wasn't a case, like I said, that we just ignored it or didn't put a lot of effort into it or resources into it. In April, we got a tip, and they found this open manhole in the field. And one of the questions was, why didn't we find that during the initial search? And we can't explain, why it wasn't found. But we did thoroughly search that field. Within a day or so of Caleb going missing, and then the volunteers went back and searched it 3 more times within about 2 weeks after we searched it. So there were a lot of people out there looking for it. Why it wasn't discovered at that time, we don't know. And because it wasn't reported to us at that time, we can't say with any degree of certainty that it was open at that time. We don't know. We do know on April 18th, when we went out there on the Facebook tip, that it was open at that time. First 3 weeks, we met 7 days a week. Following that, we cut it back to 5 days a week. And then as the investigation kind of wore on, and we had covered a lot of ground, and there really wasn't a lot of things left, we went to, I believe, 3 days a week. Okay. And eventually we whittled it down. So there was a lot, like I said, there were a lot of resources poured into this, a lot of people that worked very hard to get an answer for the Harris family and for us. So this is just kind of show you, it's difficult for me to explain things without kind of giving you a perspective of the area. Oops, wrong way. So that's the apartment complex there. And then of course, this is the big field, cornfield right across the street. So during the early, the initial investigation, a big part of the focus was on this drainage ditch that runs all the way over to Rodfield Road, because, you can't see in it. At the time of the search, the initial search, at the time he went missing, this field had just been planted with corn And in fact, right now, if you go by there, it's pretty much in the same state as it was when he went missing a year ago. So you could see the corn, is only a couple inches high, so you could see across this field. You could see pretty clearly that there wasn't anybody out there, but we still had the volunteers search it under our direction the first day, and then, like I said, they came back and searched it again. We had our enduro team go out there and search down this drainage ditch line. So there were plenty of people out there searching that area. And this is the complex where he went missing. The night he went missing, the last that we know, of his whereabouts, at 12:56 a.m., him and his friends were out in the parking lot chasing down that dog that they had just gotten that night. So they were in about this area of the parking lot. Then at about 2:20 a.m., his second roommate went to bed. So the first roommate left, I believe, to go to his girlfriend's house, and the second roommate went to bed. Told Caleb he was going to bed. Caleb said he was staying up to order Uber Eats. So after 2:20 in the morning, that's the last time anybody saw him. At 2:44 a.m., he took a Snapchat video of him walking the dog through the apartment complex. We believe it was in this general area, just based on the looking at the video. So somewhere around in here, he took the dog for a walk again. And then at 3:03 a.m., he sent a Snapchat photo he took a Snapchat photo from this bridge over that drainage ditch to a friend in San Antonio. So that's the last the last communication that he had with anybody. Now, likely in between taking this Snapchat photo and walking the dog at 2:44 a.m., likely he took the dog back to the apartment and put the dog up, because the next day when he was missing, when he was reported missing, the dog was inside the apartment complex. So after this Snapchat photo from the bridge, and you can see it's very foggy that night, and here's where the bridge is, right here in the apartment complex. That was kind of the last. At 3:12 a.m. was the last time there was any connection between his phone and the nearest tower. So at about 3:12 a.m. in the morning on the 5th, that was the last contact that his phone made with the cell tower. So during our investigation, so after we finished searching all this general area, all this area was very thoroughly searched. After we completed with that, our investigative team went out and started, well, almost immediately started looking for surveillance video from the surrounding area. One of the locations that we found video was right down here at this construction. They're building a new apartment complex right there to the south of that complex on Ennis Jocelyn. We also obtained surveillance video from Roy's Bait and Tackle. I think that's the name of it. It's a fishing sales there. We also recovered video from Physicians Premier, a Mexican restaurant right here, and a pharmacy here, CVS. And then across the street at Stripes, which was closed at the time, but at that time of the morning, they're not open. But we did get video there, and we also got video over here from Storage Place. So this video was very helpful to us, even though it was very difficult for us to see the vehicles because it was so foggy. At least we knew when vehicles were moving through this area. And I'll just show you, this is just a a video from the construction site. So we're looking north. Up here is the apartment complex where Caleb lived, the cottages. And this is Ennis Jocelyn going southbound or northbound. So this is Ennis Jocelyn right here. So this is just the quality of the video that we were getting that night. This is about the extent of it. And this vehicle had nothing to do with it. This was earlier at about 1 o'clock, but it shows you, at least we could pinpoint when cars were coming through there. So that helped us tremendously. And here's some other locations where we recovered video. That helped us tremendously because we were able to identify one particular vehicle that passed through that area just about the time that Caleb went missing. So there was one vehicle that we found that went through that general area at about almost exactly the time that his phone quit communicating with the cell tower. So on April 18th, we got or April 17th, we got a tip that there was an open missing manhole in that big field across from the apartments, The manhole was approximately 24 inches in diameter. It was 18 feet deep, approximately, and it was partially filled with water at that time. Our detectives contacted the wastewater department, who went out there and explained to them what this manhole was for. It's a wastewater manhole. What they did for us is they activated the pump at the Perry Place lift station for us to lower the water in the hole, and the detectives looked inside of it and did not see anything. So the manhole is, I'm afraid of this is where the manhole is located. This is the apartment complex here. This is the bridge where he took his last Snapchat. It is approximately 610 feet from that manhole. It's approximately 110 feet from the sidewalk, and I believe it's about 1,000 feet to the Perry Place lift station. And this is the detectives when they went out there in April. This is what they saw. So it's not just that there was a manhole cover missing. The whole manhole is missing. But you can also see all this heavy, tall grass that surrounds it. And the orange cone, that orange cone was, that was there. That was in the field. And here's another shot of it. You can look down to see, you can see there's water. At the time they took this photo, there was water in the bottom of the manhole. There's actually two manholes in this circle here. And you can see by looking at it from this photo that when the farmer plows this field, they intentionally go around this. They know those manholes are there. When the woman that found the manhole went out there, I take that back, I think it was the searchers. The searchers told us, we went back and interviewed the woman who was in charge of the volunteers, and she told us, yes, when they were searching that area, when they were searching the field, they saw the cone, they saw the cone, they saw that grass, heavy grass around there, and I believe they said they thought they saw two manholes. So there's actually, what happened is something knocked the entire cover of that manhole off. At the day that we searched, this is another thing that I wanted to point out. Okay. So all along Ennis Jocelyn, so that in the first couple of days of the search, there's a stormwater drain that runs north and south, and there's manholes on the sidewalk, or right next to the sidewalk. So we went out there, we got the water department to open all those manholes from SPID all the way down to Holly. We didn't know there was a manhole in that field. In fact, the wastewater department didn't have it on their digital map until after we contacted them when we went out there and told them, hey, you have an open manhole. Then they went out there and they checked their, I guess their hard copies or whatever, and they realized what it was, and they immediately went out there and repaired it and replaced the top on it. So they weren't even aware, like I said, that it was there or when it had been opened like that. When I was doing interviews, one of the things that we said, is that we had information earlier in the investigation, that we had information, and if it got to the point in the investigation where we came to a dead end, that we would share it with the public. And that information was exactly that we had surveillance video. We identified a vehicle that went through there, and our thought was if we couldn't find that vehicle going through our investigation, then we would throw it out to the public. But as you could see, the quality of the video was very poor. And of course, we didn't want that individual, if it had been a criminal act, we didn't want them to know we had this. So we kind of kept that to ourselves. Once we found that vehicle and we completed our investigation, we analyzed all of Caleb's digital footprint. We analyzed that person's digital footprint. There was absolutely no connection. We took DNA from that vehicle, sent it off to a lab, and there's no connection, whatsoever.
So you were able to find that vehicle and do
We
the
were. I'm
investigation?
sorry, I kind of jumped over that, but we did. We eventually, through the use of electronic search warrants, digital search warrants and whatever, we were able to track that cell phone going through that area at that time, and we were able to identify that person. And then, like I said, we followed that up, but there was never any connection between him and Caleb. There was no communication. There was no anything like that. In fact, we never found anything in Caleb's digital data to show that he was meeting anybody that night, or any night for that matter. We went back several months because, like I said, early on in the investigation, the suspicion was that he was communicating with somebody to come give him a ride. And it made sense when we saw that vehicle coming and leaving that he had reached out, that he had contacted somebody and said, hey, come pick me up. But like I said, when we finished all of that, when we went through everything, we could never find anything to show that he made that arrangement with anybody. And like I said, going months prior, there was no activity like that. On the surveillance video, we actually can see where the Uber driver drops off the, well, we assume it's, there again, putting everything together, it matches when the Uber driver drives into the complex. That's one of the, factors why we were able to eliminate her. She drives in, and within a minute and a half, she drives back out. Also, the theory of a hit and run, or that somebody stopped. There's no vehicles, watching that surveillance video, there's no vehicles that stop and, like if they hit somebody, the theory was, one of the theories was he got hit by somebody and they stopped and they, for whatever reason, loaded him in the car and took him somewhere, or took him and threw him down the manhole. Number one, there's no evidence on his body to show that he was hit by a car. The medical examiner, there's no trauma to what was left of his remains. And also watching the video, there were no vehicles that stopped for any period of time during the time that he went missing. So there was a lot, like I said, there was a lot of work done. This is very tedious. It took a lot of time, took a lot of effort of everybody going through it, and unfortunately, we still don't have an answer of what happened to him.